there's a lot of different, things that you need to be paying attention to for the tax deadlines, because federally, if somebody has over the last 12-month rolling period, $50,000 in total federal liabilities, if payroll is Monday, then the taxes are due by Friday. And there's a lot of times where people aren't paying attention to that rolling period, and they leave people set up as a monthly depositor, or even worse, as a quarterly depositor, and they probably haven't been a quarterly depositor for quite some time. You're only a quarterly depositor if the tax liability is less than $2,500. It's always important to stay on top of that. The software isn't going to track that for you. They're not going to say, oh, it looks like in the last 12 months you've paid this. There's been 50,000 or 48,000 in liabilities. You might want to switch to semi-weekly, because the IRS really doesn't have to send out a letter letting you know that your tax liability frequency has changed. They do it as a courtesy, but if you don't get the letter and they don't send it out, the business is responsible. And a business owner can be paying somebody to monitor or take care of all of the tax calculations, all of it. But the IRS in just about every single state say that it is the business owner's sole responsibility to make sure that the returns are being filed and the deposits are being paid on time.
Shannon, we have a good question here. So,
yes.
Employees get to choose their own withholding, at least their tax liability. Does that affect the business? Or what if an employee chooses to withhold too little or even too much? Does that affect the business?
So businesses have to rely on the W-4, the federal and the state equivalent that get filled out by the employee. The employee signs it saying that they have accurately filled it out. Employees can be upset at tax time if they think the business was responsible for under withholding taxes, but ultimately it is the employee's responsibility for updating their W-4. And the IRS does have a website where they can estimate their taxes to help them fill out the W-4 more accurately, because the goal of having taxes withheld on your paycheck is to minimize a refund and minimize the amount that you have to pay in at tax time. And so sometimes with employee reclassification cases or reconstructing cases where there weren't good records, we do the minimum of the taxes that have to be withheld, like FICA, if there's any disability, if they're in a state where the employee pays a portion of the unemployment. We will typically not reconstruct with federal or state withholdings being added to the gross pay, because the net pay is the net pay. It's what the employees got. That's the number that we have to work with. And then we just work backwards to come up with the gross pay.